AEW's future with video games. We have Ubisoft struggles, and the gaming layoffs continue to get worse. All that and more right here now. It is Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. We are in October already. You're tuned into the Mike Straw Show. Thank you wherever you're watching, however you may be watching, whether you are on Twitch/Mike Straw Media, YouTube.com/Mike Straw Media. I appreciate you being here. If you could, if you're on Twitch, subscribe or follow the channel. If you are on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. It helps spread the awareness and let people know that we're here. We have a lot to talk about. Get your questions in. By the way, I switched it up. I got green now instead of yellow. I like it. We have a lot to talk about. Real Elite, good evening. Saber Danger, good evening. Welcome. First time chat. I'm happy you're here. Dirt Fan, in the Q&A section, I got a little something of rumblings I'm hearing about motorsport games that I'm going to talk about. But, again, if you're new here, leave a like, follow. However, Jimbo79, thank you for the follow. Saber Danger, thank you for the follow. And BBQ5, thank you for the follow. If you are interested at all in any of the gaming content we talk about, some housekeeping, all of my gaming news, exclusively at insider-gaming.com, aside from these shows and some videos that I'll put up on my YouTube channel personally, insider-gaming.com for everything, including the first topic of the day. If you're interested in sports of any kind, particularly the NFL and NHL, I write sports columns for TWSN.net. You can get all of that information there as well. Follow me on all social media platforms. Blue Sky and Threads are where I'm primarily going to start posting, so give me a follow there. I am Mike Straw Media on all platforms. But with the housekeeping out of the way, it's time to talk and get into it. The first topic of the day, AEW and video game future. Now, if you missed it, I threw up a story. I will post, if somebody can, or I will post the link at Insider Gaming, an exclusive story. We'll put that in the chat once we can get it going, but we'll put that in the chat for everybody on YouTube and Twitch to check out. But AEW is strongly considering, that was the term that was used, strongly considering a new partner for future video games. And I know, Loaded Shorts, good evening. And I know there's a lot of people, my name was coming up on the AEW Games Discord of people saying I'm unreliable and all that, because I had said back in May that at the time I believed there would be 2 more seasons, Season 5 and Season 6, for Fight Forever. That never materialized. And we'll talk about it, but that's what I was under the belief of. I'd never confirmed. It was just from everything I'd heard, they really wanted to do at least 2 more seasons. It doesn't look like that's happening unless they come up with, unless they have a deal. But the last DLC was in July with Jay White, and it seems like all contracts are, as far as for support for the first game in DLC, current contracts are finalized, despite Will Ospreay saying that he thinks he'll be added to the game. We're not sure. I know AEW and Ukes have had talks about adding Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes Moné, and things like that. We don't know where those talks stand. But what we do know, things didn't go the way the game expected. We knew that. Game was over budget, under-delivered when it came out, and it has AEW trying to figure out what they're going to do. Now, the question is, what are they going to do? And I was told by multiple people that everything is on the table. There's some positives with the relationship, and some feel with the foundation in place, another game could make things better, rather than just being AEW one and done instead of Fight Forever. You know what I mean? But the concerns, the fighting, the issues between Kenny Omega and Ukes that I reported on when I was at SGO back in 2022. I had reported on it as early as 2022 of issues happening with Fight Forever, AEW, and the Uke side of things. A lot of people were angry. No one was really happy when the game came out. It was more of a sigh of relief as opposed to anything else. And people just were happy it was out the door. They had their updates and the modes, all part of the agreed upon contract and stuff, but the game was still not in a place where they were looking at. I don't know why the sports score bot is being restricted, but I gotta figure that out. Stop restricting. There we go. Anyway, so they're trying to figure that out. Now, a lot of people in the company want another shot at the console game. The problem is they don't know, AEW does not know, from what I've been told, higher-ups aren't sure if they want to stick with the console game after the disappointing sales. Now, it sold over 1 million copies, but it wasn't nearly, or either over or rough. Yeah, it sold over 1 million copies, roughly, but it wasn't the big boost that many people thought it might have been. It has, whether it's with the popularity of AEW kind of going down in general. I mean, from their viewership to ticket sales to this, whether it's all tied, the argument could be made there. But either way, the game wasn't the most well received in terms of sales. So now they are considering just sticking with they're considered sticking with just the mobile, which have done remotely well. And they're a lot cheaper to develop than the console games. But a lot of people in the company want another shot at the console game, and it's one of those, will AEW want to take another shot? Now, AEW is set to sign their new media deal, and it could be announced as early as tomorrow. A lot of people think with the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite, it might be announced tomorrow. But we don't know if that's going to happen. But a lot of people are wondering if, like, the new media deal with WB Warner Brothers Discovery, because of Warner Brothers Games, might have an influence on the game. It's hard to know for sure, but it doesn't seem like it'll have an influence on the decision. They might take some of that TV rights money and put it more into the games, but AEW Fight Forever cost over $100 million to make. It was well over budget. It just was not... It did not go the way they thought, and it was a rushed game. It should have been... They announced it too soon. That's the problem. They wanted to capitalize on the hype of the promotion. I get that. But they announced the game too soon, and it led to a rushed product out the door. In reality, the game would have been better served coming out this year or next. That way you can get a bigger roster in, more creation suite features, a more accurate roster than when the game came out, and things like that. Now, as far as both parties, AEW and Ukes, have had talks. They have been in communication and are trying to figure out if there's a future together. But AEW has made it known that they are looking elsewhere. They've sent out feelers. There hasn't been direct conversations with these studios, but through channels there have been feelers sent out there to various studios. I know EA keeps getting thrown around. EA did talk. There were some talks between WWE and EA back a couple years ago about the 2K about the WWE games license. That didn't seem to go anywhere. EA or 2K and WWE ended up extending, and the relationship is pretty much stronger than it's ever been. 2K, it's not likely that they would get involved. I don't think they should or would. EA, there's a possibility. But I don't know. I know feelers have been sent out. I just don't know if they're being reciprocated by EA at all. But there are other studios, I mean, that have been talked about. I've heard a couple other names, but I can't really I don't have enough information to go on just yet to talk about those studios and what studios could be interested. But there are feelers out there to see what the interest in general is wrestling games, what type of deal they might be able to get, and to do the due diligence before any decision is made, because the last thing AEW can afford to do is make another haste decision over what's going on. Real Elite, I don't think 2K could be involved solely because of that. Unless they get a big publisher than AEW. That was a big problem. They went with THQ Nordic because they had the THQ name and the nostalgia of it all, but it ultimately was not a good deal for them, Justin. THQ Nordic, they botched a lot. I like THQ Nordic. I like some of the people that have worked PR for them. But THQ Nordic as a publisher and thing, it's just hasn't... It didn't work. And especially, it's just another case, and I have a very different feeling about THQ Nordic because it's an Embracer Group owned company and they have struggled with things. Elite, THQ should have worked given their history. It's not the same company. That company went under years ago, 15 years ago almost. Actually, 10 years ago. THQ went, it is their first. That's the problem. THQ Nordic is just THQ in name. They bought the rights to the name of THQ so they can have it. And the logos and stuff like that. But it is not the same THQ whatsoever. Captain Huss, good evening. Welcome. Happy to see you here. So there's still there's feelers out there with the AEW. I wouldn't expect to hear anything anytime soon in an official capacity about the game unless they reach some sort of major deal. There's a lot of people who think they should go to Spike Chunsoft and do a game in the style of Fire Pro. Fire Pro's, that's a very targeted audience. They're not going to get the general casual fan. They had things going in the right way. It's just like Fight Forever, a very quick and easy to pick up game, especially compared to the 2K games, which are notoriously hard controls to learn and master, especially for the younger audience. Fight Forever is very quick to pick up. The problem was with Fight Forever is in ring they had a lot of bugs, some really funny, some annoying, but there was the roster was so small. The omissions were brutal. The DLC was poorly priced for what you got. The customization suite, we knew it was going to be bare from the start, I had reported, and it was barer than even I could have imagined. More bare. And then there was just nothing to do after you completed Road to Elite. There was no reason to keep going back to that game. I mean, you're looking at a game that... I get looking at PC data is very... not the best thing you can do because, like, you look at Madden, one of the best games every month, it does peanuts on PC. Peanuts. Compared to everywhere else. But you're looking at a game, AEW Fight Forever, that 16 months ago peaked at like 2,000 people on PC. Over the last 24 hours, the most they had playing that game is 10 people on PC. It's going to be more on console, especially PS Plus when they had it free for PS Plus subscribers a month or so ago. But it's a dead game at this point. They wanted it to be a game that constantly got updated and wasn't going to be yearly, and it's not going to be yearly. But the updates weren't enough to bring people back. It never brought people back, and that was a problem. That was a major, major problem. Do they make Wreckfest? Bugbear makes Wreckfest. Bugbear's the developer behind Wreckfest, and then THQ Nordic publishes it. But yeah, Bugbear makes that game. What else do we got here? I know after loaded shorts. I know after season 3, they weren't adding much more in match types. Plus, they never released all DLC characters on the same day, which was exactly. I don't get their DLC plan. Like they had issues with capture and stuff like that, which was why The Revival weren't on launch, but they were a quick turnaround DLC. And it just didn't work with the DLC plan. You did not get your bang for your buck with what they had there. What do we have as far as any other questions with AEW before we move on? Because we spent 20 minutes we spent quite some time talking about AEW Fight Forever, but we got more to get to. But there was one thing new I wanted to bring up. Like I talked about, they did send out feelers to EA. That was one thing. If I were to, based on what I know, so now there's a lot of talk of they don't know if they want to do a console game again. Based on what I know today, I'd put it at 90% that we will get at least one more AEW console game. Really? Go for it. I put my money on we will get at least one more AEW console game before it's all said and done. If that one doesn't work, then they might put a kibosh. The thing is, I don't think it comes before like 2027. Unless they decide to stick with Ukes or stick with what they're doing. I just have a feeling they need to do this one right. And maybe midway, depending on what this new media rights deal. If it's a 3-year deal, maybe 2026, a year before the media rights, and they'll figure it out, I guess. But I do think we get one more console game. One of my thoughts on 2K giving us 2K24, part of the PS Plus, it's a way to get more eyes on the game, especially with DLC. You get 2K24 Plus, and then say if you want to cancel your PS Plus, you get it at a discount if you buy it from there. But then you can buy the DLC on top of it, and people just might do it that way. I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good idea. The game's been out for 7 months at this point, which is crazy to think about, but it's been out since March. So, and we still got another DLC pack to get to, and then the game's finally complete. I do like the spacing of the DLC. That a lot of people were mad about that. I do like how they spaced it. I just still think that McAfee show pack was the dumbest thing I had ever seen. Absolutely stupid. Okay, before we move on, a reminder, you can find all of my gaming news at insider-gaming.com. Also, we are giving away at Insider Gaming. On October 10th, we are giving away a PS5 Pro to a member of our new forums. insidergaming.com/forums. And /forum. Sorry, I gotta get that fixed. insidergaming.com/forum. If you are a member, if you sign up by October 3rd, you'll be eligible for the giveaway for October 10th because your account will be a week old, which is the minimum. And you also have to make 50 posts and have 75 reactions scored to get a bronze badge. Very easy to get. It's a very active community, but you do get a chance to win a PS5 Pro. So if you aren't signed up to the Insider Gaming Forum, I highly recommend it. Links are in the chat. Moving on. Ubisoft. I feel like it was Madden every week, but now I feel like I'm talking about Ubisoft every week. And by the way, if you have questions that didn't pertain to any of these topics, get them in and they will all be answered at the end of the show in the answering your questions section for any non-topics. If they are involved in the topic we will get to them while we're on here. But Ubisoft, this has been a mess. So we've hit the point with Ubisoft. So where anything that can go wrong with that company is going wrong. Now, their stocks have rebounded a little bit. They're back above $10 and 10-pound euros trading on the various markets. Or 10 euros trading, a couple bucks on the U.S. market because it's never been a strong one on the U.S. market. But all these problems, Ubisoft needs to accept that things aren't working and it's time for a change. So they say often that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, but expecting different results. Ubisoft is at that point where they keep doing the same things over and over, thinking the same thing, thinking it's going to work, and then when it doesn't, they don't know what to do. We're we're at the point with Ubisoft that the company needs to make some changes at the top. They have seen over the past little while, last week specifically, last week was a nightmare week for that organization, but the past month, we'll say, they've seen their stock share prices fall to 11-year lows. They have seen big budget games like Star Wars Outlaws struggle to sell 1 million copies in its first month on the market. And if you're here to talk about like DEI and Sweet Baby Inc. and all that crap, I don't want to hear it. That has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that it's a boring game and it's just not that fun of a game. They struggle to sell. And then their biggest franchise, Assassin's Creed, and I saw the one comment about Assassin's Creed. I'll get to that in a minute. Assassin's Creed got delayed from November. Holiday season shopping, which is a big point for games, especially major AAA games releasing around the holidays for Christmas purchases or gift cards towards it or whatever, that was delayed to February of 2025. So the biggest franchise at Ubisoft delayed for various reasons. We had more details at Insider Gaming. You can go check that out there as to why. And now it's led to the negative publicity around the company and all the problems. It's feeling like a real powder keg situation. And yes, Avatar, let me double check the numbers, but yeah. And it feels like at the moment, things could take an even bigger turn for the worse at Ubisoft for management, stock, employees, and, you know, everyone involved. So Avatar sold a few million copies. The marketing is what the problem was with Avatar, I think. Avatar's problem was it wasn't marketed well at all. It still sold a few million copies because Avatar as a name is just going to sell. But it didn't do what Ubisoft wanted it to do. And I personally think their marketing failed for that game. That's what I think. But now at the helm, if you don't know, Yves Guillemot is one of the studio's co-founders. He's the CEO. He's been in the CEO position for over 35 years, almost 40 years at this point. He helped found the company in 1986. That's his backstory. Brought Ubisoft, helped them become one of the largest publishers in gaming history. There's no denying how big Ubisoft is. Now, though, we're at a point where you have investors, even the smallest of the small, calling for the company to not only be taken private, but sold, and for new leadership to be put in place. There are developers within the company that feel like their concerns continue to fall on deaf ears with management, which is a major problem. And you have past history of accusations of a severely toxic work culture and sexual harassment. And then you have employees in France, they're French-based employees, Ubisoft-based headquarters in France, calling for a strike this month to happen over a 3-day period in the middle of the month due to Ubisoft doing a global return to office mandate. Now, this isn't a place to argue return to office versus remote work. I am a proponent of remote work. I'm a proponent of you work where you're comfortable and where you can get your job done. You hit your deadlines, it's all fine. But you have Ubisoft employees showing, well, we're not getting paid enough to move back into the city. We're not getting paid, like, things just aren't stable enough. We've had people, because we were told this remote work policy was permanent, move miles away into a different neighborhood, different city, different community, into rural areas and stuff where they can still get their work done, and now being told to upend and move everything at the drop of a dime to move the office. So now they're calling for a strike in France. And who knows where that leads, if that leads to more Ubisoft companies doing it. But the list goes on and on with the issues there. It just keeps going with them. But now there's this mounting pressure from all angles, from staff, developers, fans, investors. And it feels like Guillemot is really on borrowed time here. It really does. There are developers who just, feel like nothing matters right now. Everything they're doing is just failing. And now in a company-wide, he did release a company-wide memo last week after the financial updates and the delays are announced. And he talked about like the setbacks that should serve people at Ubisoft as a learning experience. He said that they, quote, should all believe in their ability to bounce back. But for Guillemot as CEO of this company, I firmly believe that opportunity for him to bounce back shouldn't be there. He's been there now. Now, Insider Gaming asked, I think it was 40 employees that were talked to, and 80% of them said they don't think the investigation that's happening at the company from the executive committee and the board of directors that they're announced is going to lead to any major changes within or layoffs or anything like that. But there is that belief, including with myself, that Guillemot shouldn't wait for things to get to the point where he's fired. He needs to be proactive. When you're leading a company, it's better to be proactive than reactive in certain situations. And this feels like one of those times with Ubisoft and Guillemot. You have to think to what you think, what's the best for the future of this company that you helped found almost 40 years ago. What is the best course of action you can make for this company? And to me, what I think is best is for him to step down and allow new leadership to move the company forward. Now, you have people talking, and I see the questions. If they're related to Ubisoft, I'll get to. If not, again, in the Q&A section, I'll get to them. But I don't want to see, like, there's people saying they need to go private and sell to Tencent and stuff like that. No. Tencent owns too much as is. I saw in the comment, watch Microsoft buy them. Just that Microsoft would not be allowed to. They don't have the money in the gaming side. I don't think they'd give them money because the Activision Blizzard deal has not panned out so far at all. And with all the scrutiny and all the litigation that went through just to get that approved, you come in and try and buy Ubisoft, and it blows up in your face, and it's a losing battle. It's a losing battle. Now, that we'll see what happens with Ubisoft because their stock rebounded a little bit. We'll see what happens when Assassin's Creed comes out. I saw one question. Let's see. Okay, Captain. As for first-time big Assassin's Creed game will not be releasing in the fall, can we expect a new Splinter Cell next fall? I don't know what's going on with that franchise because they have restarted development on, I don't know whether it was a remake or an all-new game, but they had been working on Splinter Cell in some capacity, but they just never do anything with it. And it's the one franchise I think people are asking about more. But you see what they're doing with Ghost Recon, and when this comes out, it's going to be a first-person Ghost Recon game, the next one apparently rumored. And it's not anything, like, that's not Ghost Recon. It's not Ghost Recon. I mean, you had Watch Dogs 3 or Watch Dogs Legion, technically. Though, I don't know. I mean, they're focused on the Watch Dogs movie. That finished filming. X Defiance, another game loaded. X Defiance, another game. I had fun with it for about 2 weeks. And then it just kind of fell off to me. It just didn't do anything to keep me. And apparently I'm not the only one because they are struggling to keep players. Like, they're struggling for a game that costs as much as it does to keep up and how much the development. They're only keeping like 20,000 players, 30,000 players at a time across all platforms. And you'd think that's a lot of people, not with the money that's invested for a game like this. So we'll see what they do with Season 3, but they got a lot of work to do to get that sorted. Otherwise, they could be heading to even more part of topic 3. Layoffs. So we had today alone, Tuesday, October 1st, 3 companies announced layoffs or redundancies. You had XR Studios, the VR studio behind Starship Troopers, Cominium, and Hitman 3 VR Reloaded. You had Shark Mob London, who was working on an unannounced game. They canceled that game and are laying off employees, but they didn't announce how many. XR Studios is expected to be 72. 72 people, based on employees' LinkedIn posts, were told of their risk of redundancy, so you're looking at about 72 jobs lost. And then Hi-Rez, the developers of Smite, their CEO, this one pissed me off, their CEO goes to Twitter to announce a small number of employees were being let go. And that one really bothers me. So before we get into it, so I run a website, and I'll pull it up now, called gaminglayoffs.com. And what it is, it's just a basic tracker of how many days since the last gaming layoffs, the latest studio, the source of it, how many employees were affected, and the total for the year. And then I have a tracker here that you can go view yourself that I edit as everything comes in. So I have this website that I put together because I want people to see where it is. I want people to see just where the state of this industry is. And we are at a point, we are at almost 13,000 known jobs lost. There's more. There is way more. But some of the companies that have announced layoffs over this year have never announced how many people were let go. We never got that information, so those numbers aren't known. So in reality, we're probably near 15,000. 14 to 15,000 people who have lost their jobs this year alone. But known, we're at like 12,895. Almost 150 different companies so far that we know of have had layoffs. We're 9 months into the year. We had 10,500 in 2023 known layoffs. 13,000 about so far this year. It's only going to get worse. There's still the end of the year cuts that always happen, and that's going to come. That's going to come. But what pisses me off, and it happens at a lot of companies, we're going to take a look at the message. We're going to take a look at the message here. That really pissed me off about this. So Stuart Chisholm, CEO of Hi-Rez. Today we're making some difficult but necessary changes. You guys can't really see that. We're making some difficult but necessary changes to ensure Hi-Rez's long-term success with a specific focus positioning Smite 2 for a long and sustainable future. That's good. That's good. As part of the internal reorganization, reprioritization, we're laying off some team members across Hi-Rez. This will disproportionately impact those in marketing and publishing roles, as well as some from our Evil Mojo, G&A, and Titan Forge divisions. Game team roles impacted disproportionately affect our team working on cosmetic skin content and system features. So then he goes on to say that I get what he was trying to do, but then he says something that really eats me every time I hear it, because I've been a part of that layoff. I've been a part of it. This news has a real human impact at a tough time for workers in this industry. 100%. You acknowledge it. I appreciate that. Each impacted individual is talented and dedicated professionals who poured their heart and soul into our games. Letting them go is a heartbreaking decision. And here we go. Here's the kicker, guys. It reflects a failure in my leadership and one for which I take personal accountability. They're all good people who contributed positively to the company. None should be viewed this as a personal failure. Extend my deepest thanks to them, blah, blah, blah. And it says this move follows a comprehensive review of strategy and operations, focus on Smite 2 rather than Paladins and Smite. So, what do you think really pissed me off? Before I get into it, what do you think really pissed me off regarding that statement? And Real Elite, I see your message, and Saber Danger, I saw your questions. I will get to. But Real Elite, I'll get to your message too shortly. But what do you think really pissed me off in that situation? He says it's a heartbreaking decision and it reflects a failure in my leadership. Why? And this is why I get so mad, because I've heard this same thing from CEOs I've worked for who have let us go, let 50% of the company go because they can't manage money, because they don't know what they're doing, whatever it may be. I have heard it so many times in my career. That I'm tired of it. You see countless times these CEOs and executives admit, this is a failure on my part. This is a reflection of leadership. We take responsibility. They're never the ones being held accountable for this shit. No, instead, it's the smaller employees that always have to suffer. And we're talking about the developers, the marketers, the PR, the QA, the gophers, everyone, except for very rare instances, it's never the executives at the top of the company. They still get to wake up tomorrow and know they have a job. And I'm not one it's not like I want to sit here and go, I'm calling for the heads, I want people fired. But if you're going to preach accountability and you want to take personal accountability, show how you're taking personal accountability. Show it. How? That's for them. Whether you want to tell people that, like I've worked for one CEO that when we were going through financial troubles, he stopped taking a salary for a year. He didn't take a single salary from our company. He took it in stock options for the company. So when the company rebounded, he made his money back and then some. But for a year, he didn't get paid from the company. I've had other CEOs do similar things where we didn't even have stock options in the company. He just didn't take a salary, and he just had to have a conversation with his family and be like, this is what it's going to be for now. Some worked, some didn't. But that was taking accountability to me. You see this all the time. Failure in our leadership. But the leadership is never the one waking up the next day having to update their resume and go to Indeed all day and spend hours on Indeed. They're not the ones that have to go in and tell their husband, their wife, their partner. They're not the ones that have to tell them, hey, sorry, I lost my job because I failed as a leader. No, it's the smaller employees who have to go home and say, hey, I lost my job through no fault of my own. I didn't do anything wrong. I met all my deadlines. I did what management wanted me to do. Exactly what they wanted me to do. They made the wrong decisions, and now I have to suffer for it. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of it. I love this industry so much. I love this industry so much. But it's sickening how often this happens. And how many times you see the same stupid message of, I take responsibility. I failed as a leader, but I still have my paycheck. I still have my options. I still have my shares. I still have a job to go to. I don't have to worry about where my family's next meal is coming from. And I know some of that's hyperbole, but the point stands. You never see this as true accountability. Ever. And I'm tired of it. Like, it makes me want to leave covering this industry. Every time I see a message like that, it makes me want to just quit. But I can't. My goal, and it's something I'm working on more, is to bring more eyes to the studios that are opening and trying to help. Like, we had a new studio, former EA devs in Australia, announced their opening, and they got a racing game coming next year, the 3000s. Good. Great. New studio pops up, very happy. But for every one new studio that opens and gives people jobs, you have 5 more either shutting down, and it's one thing if it's a small indie, larger private company, you have these different, every story is different, I guess. But for every one studio that opens and brings in more people, you have 5 others that post this same stupid message. Failure in my leadership. Take true accountability. Show us how you're taking accountability. Not that, hey, we reviewed everything and we're letting people go. Show us how you're going to make it work. Show us how you're going to make it right. And yeah, chances are they're getting a nice solid 3-month severance or whatever. That's not good enough. Hopefully that gets them a job, but nowadays the way the job market is, it takes 3+ months just to go through a full interview process for one company, and you still don't know if you're going to get the damn job. And I'm talking out of experience from this. A lot of experience from this. Moving on. Question time. I got on my soapbox there. But it pisses me off, man. It pisses... I don't want to break my chair. Pisses me off. And thank you to everybody still here. And put up and listen to that. Means a lot. Before we get into the Q&A, make sure you leave a like on this video. Share the live stream. Share it on YouTube because obviously it'll be on demand. And it will help get the views post-airing and things like that. Follow, subscribe, wherever you're watching. Thank you so much. You can find me on all social medias at Mike Star Media. Blue Sky and Threads. I'm really making an effort to grow there. Give me a follow there. Again, means a lot. We have a lot of questions, which I love. Keep getting them in. I'm going to keep going until the questions stop. I might come back and stream after the show like I did last time. Take a break, come back. And so just make sure you have notifications turned on so on either platform so you know when I'm going live. Now, let's go in order. I'll do in order. Do I anticipate Saber Danger? Do I anticipate Madden having a big content update coming out that would possibly include more frequent stat overlays, few and far between this year? I don't think anything like that. They are going down for maintenance tomorrow for an update, but I don't think that type of update is going to be there. They might do a couple things, but nothing major. We got that first the second title update, which was absolutely massive, but they're still doing a lot to the defensive gameplay, which needs work, and things with the user interface. Regarding the PS5 Pro, will there be a noticeable difference between sports games? Madden is optimized the same for the Series S as it is the PS5 and Xbox Series X. You're not going to notice a difference in that. You probably won't notice a difference in 2K. I don't think it's worth it if you only play sports games. If you play racing games, yes. Because Gran Turismo 7, that's the only game I've seen so far that makes me go, holy shit, I need that console. I won't buy that console. And I'll just play Gran Turismo 7 on my base PS5. But man, that is the one game where you're just like, if you want to sell a console to me, racing games are the way to go. That's how you showcase. Mentioned PGA 2K likely coming out in spring 2025. Any details as to whether EA will release a follow-up on PGA? And Justin, I saw your comment. I don't know if EA is going to be making a follow-up on PGA. It didn't do that great. We'll see. It did. They are talking about it. I just don't know if and when. That I haven't heard anything, but I know it didn't do as great as I expected. Kind of like Top Spin at 2K. I do know EA is working on UFC 6. That's officially in development. So there's that. I still think PJ2K comes out in the spring. I haven't heard anything either way. I don't know where, because WWE 2K will also come out in the spring. On the problem is, in now where it has me concerned, maybe it won't come out in the spring and it might be another summer release like last time, is on all of 2K's investor relation documents and their releases, there's no mention. Sometimes they'll put like an unannounced game from studio, blah, blah, blah. They haven't mentioned that at all. So I'm more shaky on the spring 25 for PJ2K, but they are I mean, there is another one coming. They're like HB Studios has been posting positions looking for people for developers. Like it's one of those. Let's see real quick what exactly it is. Let's see. Do they not have a website anymore? HB Studios, driving sports and sports games, blah, blah, blah. There we go. So on their website, they are current openings. They're looking for a project coordinator. And they specifically mentioned being the studio behind PJ Tour Golf, join their team of developers. So they're looking for a project coordinator right now. So we'll see. Will EA lose the Masters license? It's on a term-by-term basis. That's the thing with them. It's not like we have it for 15 years. No, I think it's a term-by-term. They currently still have the license, though. And I'm not sure when it expires, or how long they have in between to keep it. But they're on it. They still currently have it. We won't see another Top Spin. I don't know. Maybe they give it another shot. They from the announcement to the release was so quick. I don't think it was enough time to really build up the excitement for a new Top Spin. All right, we got more. Any details on Lacrosse 25? I am talking to. I've talked to the developer behind it, Carlos Sinceri, and we're working on something to bring more information. But I can tell you, it's going to be another like outdoor lacrosse game, like a college level. I don't think it won't have real schools, and it will be, from what he said, a little bit more on the arcade side of things, and a bit more accessible. But that's where things stand now. There's going to be some beta tests early next year to see where things stand. Will we ever see another horse racing game? I don't think so. There's not a market for it. You might see an indie one, but I don't think you'll see like a major one. Real Elite, the whole gaming layoff thing is upsetting, especially when you look at it from the worker standpoint. Yeah. As for us, we enjoy playing them. Unfortunately, the more people they lay off, the more pushback these games are going to receive. We'll never get Grand Theft Auto 6 or any game if they keep playing off. I mean, you'll still get that, right? You still have like Rockstar still going strong and stuff like that. It's just, you heard my rant. I don't want to just start rambling and doing the same thing. But you do see issues popping up all the time. Dirt Fan, Motorsport Games. So they have been looking for investors to buy stock that they've newly allocated, and they are struggling. From what I've heard, they are struggling to get investors and get people to buy stock. It's just hasn't been the best. It's down to $1.50 on the market. It dropped, it jumped from $1.10 to $1.50 last Tuesday, but it's only at $1.51 on the market. In the past 6 months, it's fallen 31% in 6 months. Year to date, it's fallen 48%. And then obviously the past year it's fallen 57%. So it's not doing good. I'm interested to see. We should have an earnings call soon. With an update, but from the rumblings I've heard, it's not going all that well. Like the last quarterly, like Q2. Let's see, when was the yeah, August is when we had Q2. So we'll see. And then yeah, I mean you had Le Mans Ultimate, they had the new co-op game mode, a save and load system, and then the next DLC pack released last week. And that seems to be doing a little well, but I don't think they have the money to keep that going and keep the servers online much longer. So we'll see. They definitely don't have the money, I think, to bring it to console like they want. That's why they really need the investment. Let's see. What else do we have? Upcoming Undisputed boxing game releasing in a few days. Do you have any streams planned? Yes. Yes, I do. So, fun stuff on Undisputed. I have my copy of the updated version. I'm playing it for my review. It is under embargo. Can't talk about everything that's changed. You know, embargoes. You'll just have to wait until the review goes live before around launch. But I do plan on streaming some of it. Maybe we'll do a career mode together. I don't know. You can help me. You can watch how bad I am. Because I'm not the best. I've never been the best at fighting games. I just enjoy them a lot. A lot. But I am working on scheduling, cheap plug, another interview, and I think it's going to happen this week. I don't know when it's going to go live. It's going to go live around the launch, maybe on launch day or the day after. But with Ash Habib of Steel City. So if you have specific questions you want asked for this interview, let me know in the chat and I will take notes. But I do have another interview scheduled with Ash Habib to talk about it. We talked back in February, and now after all the around career mode launch, but now after that's been out, people have played it, and now we have all these gameplay improvements that we've been releasing developer diaries on, which has been fantastic to watch and see these things. Like, it looks a lot better. I'll know you'll know what I think about it when my review drops. But Undisputed, yeah, I'm talking with Ash again on Thursday, and we got some more talks, including there's some things about some fighters that I'm hearing rumors of, and I'm going to try and get an answer on that. I'm trying to get an answer from their PR person. We'll see if I get that beforehand, but if not, I'll just go directly to the source. If I knew a grade pro for Baby Joe Macy, man, what a throwback. What a callback. Baby Joe. I mean, you should just be able to create them. But we'll see. I'm interested to see how the creative fighter looks and the community looks for creating custom fighters in that game. They need to give up and sell Motorsports. Can I see who's invested? I can't from anything they have public. I might be able to file a Freedom of Information request, but I don't know if they'll even give anything. What's the news on NFL 2K? There is none. No one knows what's going on. The people I had talked to in the past who had told me the game had been restarted multiple times, there's been no updates within meetings on the state of the game. It's been very quiet all around, and no one knows really what's going on, whether they're planning some big surprise or what. It's been super quiet. What else do we have? We have plenty. UFC 6 isn't good news for a possible fight night. They are keeping an eye, and this goes to Real Elite's comment. Fight night has been in a very early pre-production stage for so long at this point at EA. And I've heard rumblings and I've heard talks, like I've reported on it on my show. EA's keeping a close eye on how Undisputed does before they really decide to go to full production with this, or whether just stick with what they're doing with UFC and just leave boxing in the past after 14 years, 13 years since Champion came out. They are keeping an eye on it. That's all I can really say. Like there's a lot of people. It's just the licensing. Will it be worth the money they spend on licensing and things like that? Steel City got a really big investment from a third-party investor, which allowed them to sign all these boxers and continue. Look, they got a huge investment. I don't know what the game has to do in order for it to be a success. I'm going to ask about it, but I don't know what exactly that needs to be in order to be a success. There's a lot of questions I'm going to be asking about. Inzoi, Raiders. I'm so happy you brought this up. A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at this point, and then I got COVID and it kind of ruined everything. I had sat down for an hour meeting with the game director of Inzoi. And I'm working on trying to get that story up for Friday. If not, it'll be up on Monday. It'll be up next week. Maybe Monday. If I can't get it up Friday, it'll be Monday or Tuesday. By the way, no later than Tuesday next week, I will have a feature, interview, and story on Inzoi. Their passion behind it, if they see themselves as a competitor to The Sims, what they're doing with the market after seeing what happened with Life by You being canceled at Paradox. A lot of stuff. It was a great interview, like a fantastic talk. I had a blast talking with them. I did it because they're in Korea. I did it at like around this time at night because it's in the morning there. So I do have that coming. So make sure you're following me on social media so you can see when that story goes live, because I'll post everything on Threads and Blue Sky and Twitter and stuff. How many copies of Undisputed have to be sold for Steel City? I'm going to try and find out. If I were to guess, like, they have to sell more than 1 million to be happy, to even be remotely happy, but I have a feeling they want more than that. The thing is, boxing is so big internationally, I don't see it being an issue of selling that much. I really don't. And that's the thing, though. It is a case of they've sold a lot of copies already, early access. How many more on top of what they've sold? Because if you bought it early access, you're getting this upgrade like to full release. But console is going, but it's only been on PC. That's the thing. Only been on PC. Console and PS5, Xbox and PS5 will sell better than PC. I can guarantee you they'll sell a lot better than PC. You're getting NHL 25 and Undisputed. NHL, I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. They didn't do enough to Superstar mode. If I get it, it's because I got it from somebody. And franchise, they did a lot of menus. It's just, they did a lot of quality of life stuff, but nothing that really, like, gets me amped. You know what I mean? Any more interviews with iRacing? I'm working on it. How does iRacing like the console space? iRacing like the console space? They like it. World of Outlaws, like, is doing well for what they expected. And they're super excited about from what I hear, the NASCAR game and the way development is going. They're super excited about it. When do you think Skate 4 is coming out? So they have their console playtest coming up, and that's going to be a big test. I think by fall of next year, it launches in full early access. And it's going to be an early access for a while, and then it'll be 1.0. But it's going to be, I mean, it's a free-to-play live game, so you can say it's just released, and then even though it's not early access, but they're gonna talk about early access. I can't even answer that type of question right now. Not until in my embargo lifts. Sorry. I have a great relationship with them, and the last thing I want to do is screw that up. They're great. They're great people over there. They are some of the best people. And I can tell you one thing, they are passionate about the sport of boxing, which is so nice as someone who loves boxing and is trained, it's so nice when I can talk to a developer behind a game, like a sport, and hear the passion come out. It doesn't even have to be a sport. When I hear somebody talking about the game they're playing and just how good it is, how much they love what they're doing. Any Switch 2 leaks? Nothing. I got nothing at Nintendo. I go based on what we see. Nintendo has always been the toughest egg for me to crack. What do we have here as we start to wind down? Great questions, though. I love when there's questions. It makes these so much more fun. And I see you, nephew. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I don't think we have any more. I know on Twitch we're running ads, so I'll wait. But if you're on YouTube, ask away. Again, leave a like on the video, follow, subscribe, however you're watching. I really appreciate it. Do we have any more? Did I miss any questions? That's the big thing. I hate missing questions. Oh, with NBA Live, EA had real-world NBA Parks license locked up. If any word, that license will be up. Many NBA fans want real-world parks. I don't know what's going on with that. Any EA license, I could tell you, any EA license that they had regarding the NBA is gone. And with basketball, it's gone. Like they expired. EA wasn't going to keep paying for these licenses they're not using. So I can tell you that much. But whether 2K brings them in, I don't know. WWE 2K25 cover prediction. Braun Breaker. In some way, I think Braun Breaker is on that. Yeah, in some way, I think Braun Breaker is on the cover of WWE 2K25. Like, he's just to the moon. Maybe they put Punk would be a good one, I think, for a special edition, but I really think 2K25 should embrace like the next generation, right? Should really embrace the next generation and throw some of like the young stars. I think Braun Breaker would be perfect. Milestone with Supercross, they put it in the MX ATV game, and I think that series is done. I don't know for sure. This isn't a report. That's just my opinion. I think the games didn't sell well enough to keep them coming as standalone titles. And they didn't improve enough year over year to justify buying them every year, which was a big problem with me. Every game felt the same, whether you had Supercross 3 or Supercross 5. Or 6. It felt the same. So, which was frustrating. Stone Cold or CM Punk? I don't know. CM Punk would make sense, but I really would like them to embrace this new era. But on that note, everyone, I want to thank you for tuning into the Mike Straw Show for Tuesday, October 1st. It means a lot whenever you're here. Next week, it might be a day show. We'll figure this out. The schedule's up in the air with some family stuff, but it's likely still 8:30. Follow me on social media for updates on when we go live. I do want to start streaming more. I'm just trying to figure out the schedule and when you guys want me to stream and what you want me to stream. It's always tough. I might be back shortly. Stop it, Justin. You cut my outro because of that. Stop it. No one wants to Aquaman. Stop it. Stop it. Saber Danger, thank you for joining. Welcome to the community. And I will see you guys next time. I might be back in a little bit to stream some games, but I am hopping off, going to get some food in me and stuff like that. But until next time, take care of one another. I love you all. I'm out.